Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Sobriety and Everything Else. My name is Eric Andrew, and I am your friendly neighborhood host, zooming in to you live from my studios right here in my dining room. Yes, sir, they are right here in my dining room. So anyway, it is January 19th, actually, January 19th, one day before Inauguration Day. It's been a while. So first off, I want to apologize that I did not put out something last week. The problem, I have been sick and I was just getting over something and I just really didn't want to be trying to cough through an actual episode. So I wanted to spare you the details of having to deal with that, or the pain of having to deal with that more than likely. Also, I wanted to say to you that I am working right now on some different things. One is to have a guest very soon. And my hope is that maybe sometime in February that we will get that done for you. I'm excited about that. Also, there's a really good possibility that another guest might follow from there. And I may be kind of moving this in some newer directions for us that I think might be interesting to everybody. So we will see. Stay tuned. And I will let you know as things progress. But as always, I'm taking things slow and easy. I'm taking things as a imperfect person, an imperfect host. I'm not always going to do everything right, but I'm going to try to do something. And my biggest thing is to get out to you the message of sobriety and everything else. So first and foremost, before we get to the topic, I will put my way that you can get in touch with me, which is going to be an email address at this point. I am suspending some of the other modes that I'm using right now for the time being. And certainly I would love to hear from you, any kind of feedback you might have, maybe even if you're reaching out for some support or guidance or help. I would love to do that for you as well. So please reach out. And again, my email will be left in the notes. So I would love to hear from you. Okay, with that being said, let's move on to the topic. So the topic today is being present. Yes, being present. Being there for all the things and all the people in our lives. So I'm going to start out with a story that's probably not the greatest story in the world to tell. I don't think I've told it here yet, but it shows you about how my alcoholism caused me not to be present. So a year before I decided to get sober, my mom was very ill and was dying. And we were in a position where we had to make a decision about, for lack of a better word, not getting into all the details, pulling the plug. And it was advised to us by the doctors. They showed us all the bottom line. There really wasn't any hope in terms of any kind of procedure that would make her better. So we made a decision to pull the plug. So I had a very hard time getting to where my mom was. She lives in a different state than I do. And it was around this time of year, so the weather was pretty dicey. So I finally get out there and we wait a day, and the next day comes and we decide to start the process of doing that. We were advised that this could take a while. So when my brother and I went back into the room, we stayed in the room for a while and made the decision to leave because we did not know how long it would be. And, and we were put at ease that that was considered okay, that we did not need to stay. They would let us know when things changed. So we made the choice to leave. Now I'm full-fledged into my addiction at this point. And on our way home, we decided to stop and buy some beer. So we stopped at this liquor store that allowed you to pick and choose through different things, and I was like a kid in a candy store, getting to have this opportunity. In the middle of that whole process, my brother gets a phone call, and it's from the hospital letting him know that my mom had passed. So he gets off the phone and he turns to me and goes, well, should we go? Since this has happened, should we go? And I said, well, we're here, so why don't we just go ahead and buy the alcohol that we're going to buy, and then we'll go from there. I was not able to be present enough to realize that we were in a situation where what really needed to happen was for us to start the process of dealing with my mom's affairs and getting ready for that part of it, to deal with our own feelings. I know that I, at that point, was very numb to the whole thing. I was frustrated and angry over some things with my relationship with my mom and all of that. And the alcohol was not helping any of that. And I was just trying to numb out and not be there. And did a pretty good job of that for the most part. When I look back at that, it's not something I'm proud of. It's not something that I say lightly to you, but I was not present. And one of the biggest things that I've learned on my journey is that being present for people, being present for family, being present for moments in my life has been probably one of the greatest gifts that I've ever had. And I am very happy to be in that present place. Alcohol or any other substance that we might be using takes us away from that presence. It causes us to get more into ourselves, to be numb to the feelings that we might be feeling at the time. And listen, here's the thing. Life is life, and things are going to happen, and not everything is all great and rosy and happy, unfortunately. And there's nothing that I could ever say to anybody that's going to allow you to believe that it's that way. Even sobriety, a lot of people will come into sobriety and go, oh, well, if I just quit drinking and everything, my life will just automatically become great and wonderful. And all the things I ever dreamed of happening will happen. And I will kind of ride off into the sunset, a happy person. And what one finds really quickly in sobriety is that is not the case, that life is on life's terms. And so you're going to deal with unhappiness. You're going to deal with pain. You're going to deal with suffering. You're going to deal with the death of loved ones or the illness of loved ones. You're going to deal with losing a job. You're going to deal with losing a home. You're going to deal with losing a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a friend. You're going to deal with a lot of things in your life. But the beauty of it is when you can deal with those things in the present moment without being numb to them, you have a better chance of dealing with them correctly or dealing with them in a better way. You have a better chance of being present for your own feelings. What do you feel about that situation, and how do you want to handle that? How do you want to feel that? And in reality, when we can do that, we can heal. So that's the thing. When we are not present, when we are numbing out, we are not allowing ourselves to go through the cycle of feelings, the cycle of, whatever the situation might be. So the cycle of loss, the cycle of sadness, anger, frustration, all these things happen in loss, acceptance, disillusionment, all these things, not necessarily in that order, happen. And we have to go through those things in order to get to the other side of that and be able to put to rest that moment in our life. And when we don't allow ourselves to do that, that moment stays in our brain as an active moment that was never dealt with. This is why you will find a lot of people that are in the world of sobriety that they start to deal with things that they never dealt with before. So that could be traumas. That could be the loss of a loved one. That could be a loss of a job. That could be, whatever. I mean, name it. Loss of a house, a move that you didn't want to make, whatever it might be. Like you finally start to deal with those things. And a lot of people are dealing with things that happened years ago that they just numbed out to. And it takes time to go through that. In fact, in some cases, it requires something more severe like counseling to help you go through and handle and put to rest those traumas or moments in your life that are still affecting you. And all of that is due to the fact that we we're so numb and so egotistical and into ourselves and into our addiction that we couldn't process what was happening, or really didn't want to process what's happening. When we get out of that and we get into sobriety, we start to get sober and we start to then deal with emotional sobriety. So I heard this thing out there, and I don't know how true it is. I don't know if it's an actual study that happened. I would probably have to look it up. I didn't look it up. I apologize for that. But you could always look it up. But the story is that, if you're looking at things from 100% perspective, sobriety breaks down this way. 10% of sobriety is stopping the substance, whatever it is, whether it's drinking, whatever it might be. 90% of it is emotional sobriety, learning how to manage our emotions, learning what are the correct emotions to have in certain moments, and everything that goes with that. So boundaries go with that. Our voice goes with that. And I'll do an episode on this. I want to do an episode on emotional sobriety or anxiety and anxiety in relationships, because I had to deal with that, and I am dealing with that. And those are things that I had to grow from, that I had never grown from. I really do believe that you're stunted emotionally stunted right at the point of where your drinking picked up. And my drinking really picked up right around my college years. So 19, 20 years old. So I've been living in this college, everything's about a party lifestyle for the last 35 years of my life. Right around the time I started to get sober, which was at 55 years old. So think about from 20 years old till 55. That's 35 years of thinking life's a party, and that, it's not about having to actually adult and deal with anything. It's about having fun. Right. So I had to get past that, and I had to start looking at adult things, adult relationships, adult moments in my life, and getting that part of me well. And the only way that that can happen is if I'm present, where I can truly look at it and deal with it in a way that is more mature than what I had been dealing with things. Most of my problems came from my own fault of not being grown up enough to deal with things, to realize that, not everything's going to be a good thing. Not everything's going to happen in a positive way. And I have to manage through that. I have to manage through the good times and the bad times. It's part of being a human being, right? Not just an adult, but a human being. So being present and being able to learn how to use your emotions in the correct way, or not use them. So being able to make a choice, right? Dude, I don't have to be sad right now. I don't have to be angry right now. I don't need to be this right now. Yes, I'm feeling that, but I don't have to act on it. I can do something else. That comes with that idea of being able to be present in the moment and be clear-headed. And that only comes from getting rid of the substance. So if those are things that you're looking for in your life, or you can look at your life and realize that you've not dealt with some things in your life, or maybe everything in your life in a mature, positive way, and you've realized that there are a lot of things in your life that you could do better. Maybe you're also somebody sitting there and has looked at everything as that everybody's out to get me, that, oh, poor me, I nothing ever goes right, and we're blaming everything outside of us instead of looking at ourselves and realizing what is the thing here that's me, what part do I own in all of this? So it's some food for thought. So being present happens when you get sober. So again, if you're sitting on the fence, if you're trying to decide whether you want to get sober or not, my thought would be, give it a try. Give it 30 days. See how you feel. See if you start to deal with things differently. See if you start to become present in your life, meaning in your relationships and in your job and with your friends, with your family, with situations that you have to deal with. How do you handle when you're not drinking? How do you handle things that are hard? Things that are happening where Maybe somebody's got to go to the hospital, or maybe a decision has to be made about somebody's health or their health care. How do you deal with that when you're sober versus when you're drinking? These are things that you can look at. So I urge you to give it a try. The idea of sobriety, give it 30 days. A lot of people are doing dry January. Obviously, I'm towards the end of dry January, so maybe we could look at it dry February, or come up with some sort of fun name for it. February is a little shorter month, so you don't have to try to hang on as long, and give it a shot. See what happens. See how you feel. Do you sleep better? Do you deal with things better? Are you present in the lives of your family and friends? That should be the most important and highest priority that any of us have for anything. All right, everybody, let me let you go, and I will be back hopefully in a couple of weeks, and I'll hopefully have more information for you about a possible guest coming up. Who knows? Maybe that guest will be here by then. So anyway, have a great rest of your day and a great Martin Luther King Day, which is tomorrow. And I will talk with all of you very soon. Take care now.